Standing here today with you, I tell you, I feel really great. First of all, it's a dream coming true. So for years, I was just talking, said we need to have a service for our youth in English, and it did not move nowhere. Eventually, this coronavirus come, and now I was able to do it. I'm not feeling comfortable speaking in English, I will be honest with you. The thing is, I feel today like David. Just before he was fighting with Goliath, Saul gave him all of this armor, all of these clothes, the helmet, and he was walking and said, I don't feel comfortable with this. So I use preaching Russian. So all of this clicks very good in my head. But when I have to do it in English, I have to learn again. So many years ago, exactly 24 years ago, I was a young man, 26-year-old, just fresh, be ordained to be deacon in Home of God Church. And me and my brother decided we want to go to Canada. There is a small American church, Sabbath keepers, and we want to go there and visit them. So when we visit that church, they ask my brother to be a preacher, and I must be a translator. So I must translate from Russian to English. You know, it's very easy for me to translate from English to Russian, but opposite, it's not so easy, it's hard. So when that all ended up, I tell you the truth, I was really ashamed. I did really bad. So my brother says something, and I don't know what to say. I stay looking to him and say, I don't know what to say. I don't have this enough vocabulary in my head for English words to say what my brother is saying. He was preaching great. I was poor translating. My translation was not good. So I stopped doing it. For English, I would not translate. People will ask me, I said, no, I can't. I'm not good in that. But then, when I was in my 25th anniversary of our weddings, me and my wife decided to go to Jamaica. So when we did go to Jamaica, there also is a Sabbath keeper church. They called Apostolic Church of God 7 Day. So, and I was there on a Sabbath. And on a Sabbath, we need to go to church. So I said, my wife, let's go to this church. So we call up that pastor. I had his phone and said, I want to visit your church. That pastor come pick me up from the hotel, and I said to him, I'm not driving on Saturday. So he put me in a hotel, nice hotel, right next to their church, close to their church. So on Friday, I sleeping there. Next morning, I go to the church. And he said, you will preach today. Preach? There is nobody to translate me. Yeah, but you speak good English. You can speak in English, so it's no problem. So I did. If somebody want to listen to it, it's in YouTube. Pastor Klassen God, Jamaica. Type it up, you will find it. Again, I listened to it and said, how can I do that bad? And again, I just stopped and I said, I don't want to do it in English. I preach good in Russian and I will continue doing that. So finally, that meeting happened in Salem. So I was invited there to preach for 5 minutes. And I was like thinking, Russian with English translating or preaching English. And what I said then, I need to put all of my fears away. I need to be strong. I need to go and do it in English. I know there will be many different people from many different places. Most of them will be by Americans. And I must go there and preach in English. And you know, later when I was listening, I was thinking, man, I have a heavy accent. But from that day, I'm not scared anymore to preach in English. That's why I do today in English. And the message what I want to share with you today, it will be God's will for you. Believe me, there is a God's will for each of you. And I want to start with 2 stories from the Bible. The first story, it's happened when there was, long time ago, there was a prophet. That prophet name was Jonah. You remember, right? Book of Jonah, there is in the Bible. So one time God is given a message to this prophet. The message was saying like that, and I read Jonah chapter 1 verse 2. Get up and go to the great city of Nineveh. Go there. And announce my judgment against it, because I see how wicked its people are. You know, sometimes people, when they become and start doing wicked stuff, they think that God doesn't see them. No, God sees. Every time when people do wicked stuff, God sees them. So the message for Jonah was, go to that great city and start telling them, God see what you're doing. You are wicked. And you know what did Jonah do? Let's read verse 3. But Jonah got up and went the opposite direction. I read New Living Translation. It's a little different what you have here, but the message will be the same. So Jonah got up and went the opposite direction to get away from the Lord. He went down to the port of Java, where he found a ship leaving to Tarshish, and bought the ticket and went on board, hoping to escape from Lord. So he was hoping to escape the Lord. That was his purpose. So let's ask you a question. What was the God's will for Jonah? Go to that great city and tell them what's happened. What God will destroy them. What Jonah want to do? Run away. Believe me, if we are honest with ourselves, many times we are like Jonah. God wants one purpose for all of us in our life. We try to turn away, the opposite, and run away. You know, God knows how to turn us to the right direction. See what's happened? I read verse 4. But the Lord hurled a powerful wind over the sea, causing a violent storm that threatened to break the ship apart. Fearing for their lives, the desperate sailors shouted to their gods for help and threw the cargo overboard to lighten the ship. But all this time, Jonah was sound asleep down the hold. You know, big storm. How you think on a ship you're feeling the storm? Anybody did go on a ship and feel the storm? I know a couple guys did go fishing, and except fishing, they're just standing and throwing up all the time. They told me that story about that later. But what was happened, the Jonah was sleeping. He was okay. He was running away from God, but he was like, I can sleep soundly, no problem. So captain of that ship, he comes down to him and said, how can you sleep? No, how can you sleep at a time like this? He shouted, get up and pray to your God. Get up and pray to your God. Maybe he will pay attention to us and spare our life. Then the crew cast lots to see which them had offended the gods and caused the terrible storm. Cast the lots, по-русски бросать жребий. So they threw that there were stones to point out who is guilty in that one. Who is that? And you know what's the lots did show? Jonah. That's all because of him. It's all, everything what's happened is because of him. And when the lots identified Jonah as the guy who is responsible for all of that, the people start asking him, why has this awful storm come down to us? They demanded. So why that has happened to us, Jonah? Everything points to you. You are doing something wrong. What this big storm is going here. Who are you? What is your line of work? What country you are from? What is your nationality? They ask him. Jonah answered, I am a Hebrew. I worship the Lord, the God of heaven, who made the sea and the land. And you know what's happened next? The sailors were terrified when they heard that, for he had already told them he was running away from the Lord. Oh, why did you do it? they groaned. Why did you do it? Why are you run away from the Lord, from the God? Why are you doing that? And the storm was getting worse all the time. They asked him, what should we do to stop this storm? And you know what Jonah said? Throw me in the sea. Throw me into the sea, and it will become calm again. I know that this terrible storm is all my fault. This terrible storm is all my fault. The sailors rowed even harder, so it's not like a big engine is pulling that ship. They have to row. So they did it harder, but the storm was too violent for them, and they could not make it. Then they cried out to the Lord, Jonah's God. So most likely, these sailors, they were not serving this God. They had their own idols. So, but this time, they start crying to the, oh Lord, don't make us die for this man's sins, and don't hold us responsible for his death. Oh Lord, you have sent the storm upon him to your own good reasons. Yes, God always have a good reasons why he does something in our life too. And sailors, what they did after that, they pick up Jonah up, like 1, 2, 3, and push him over the board. And you know what's happened? Immediately calm. Just think what everybody think in that time. The storm is gone. The moment they threw Jonah over the board, the storm is calm. Everything is quiet now. The sailors were awestruck by the Lord's great power, and they offer him a sacrifice and vowed to serve him. Just think about that. So, God will for Jonah, the prophet Jonah, was he have to go to that city and tell this city what they have to repent, or the God will destroy that one. He decided to run away. God know how to fix that. The big fish did swallow Jonah, and very soon, 3 days later, Jonah was in that city preaching them. That is one example. When the prophet was trying to run away, and God turned him back. Now I want to tell you another story. This story is in a book, what's called Book of Ruth. And this story is saying that there was a family in Israel, in Judah, who decide they want to go to Moab because times were really hard. There was no harvest, there was no bread in where they was living, and they live. She had a husband, she had 2 sons, and they did go to that land. Very soon, 2 of her sons married Moabitess woman. One name was Orpha, another was Ruth. 10 years quickly pass. But in these 10 years, terrible things happen. Verse 5, both Mahlon and Chilion died. This left Naomi alone without her 2 sons and her husband. Vitaly told us when we go to the times of tribulation, times of trials on earth, just think what trials did this woman go through. She lost a husband. She lost 2 sons. And then she heard what the Lord have blessed the people of Judah and given the good crops again. So Naomi and her daughters-in-law got ready to leave and return to her homeland. I want to ask you all of them, just think about these 2 young women. They were, their motherland, their homeland was Moab. It was not Judah. They were born there. Their relatives, their parents was there. So they get married. Their husband died. They're young, they have no children. And Naomi is older woman now. And she's telling them, I want to go back home to my land. And these two daughters-in-law said, we will go with you. Chapter 8, verse 1. But in a way, Naomi told to her two daughters-in-law, go back to your mother's homes. And may Lord reward you for all of the kindness to your husbands and me. May the Lord bless you with the security of another marriage. Then she kissed them goodbye, and they all broke down and wept. No, they said, we want to go with you to your people. We want to go to your people. But Naomi replies, why should you go on with me? Can I still give you birth, the other sons who could grow up and be your husbands? No, my daughters, return to your parents' homes. For I am too old to marry again. And even if it's possible, and I were to get married tonight and bear sons, then what? Would you wait for them to grow up and refuse to marry somebody else? No, of course not, my daughters. Things are far more bitter for me than for you, because the Lord himself has raised his fist against me. See, the older woman thinks better about what's happened to her life. They weep together. So Orpah kissed her mother-in-law goodbye, but Ruth clings tightly to Naomi. Look, Naomi said to her, your sister-in-law has gone back to her people and to her gods. You should do the same. But Ruth replied, don't ask me to leave you and turn back. Whatever you will go, I will leave. I will go. Whatever you will leave, I will leave. Your people will be my people, and your God will be my God. Just think about how this woman was thinking. Again, my message today is about God's will in our lives. God's wills in our lives. So two young women have exactly the same situation. Two of them lost their husbands. Two of them doesn't have any children. Their mother-in-law want to go to her homeland, and that's not homeland for them. And one of them choose go back, but the second one, the Ruth, saying, your people will be my people, and your God will be my God. 1,000 years passed. What do you know about the first woman? Tell me, anybody, what do you know about the first woman? Nothing. She just returned to her family. What do you know about the second woman? She was grandmother for King of David. Just think about that, how God's purpose and God's will was happening, because she can easily turn around. She can easily say, oh, I will go back to my people. But you see, all of you, you're here because your parents married. And for Ovid, her son, to get born, Boaz must marry Ruth. And that's what happened. Because she said this, your people will be my people, and your God will be mine God. She did not leave that woman, her mother-in-law. Even technically, there was no more bondage between them anymore. Technically, they very easily could return. Say all of that, I want to say to you, there is purpose for every one of you. There is a God will for every one of you. And I want to read for you Proverbs 3:5-7. Trust the Lord with all your heart, Do not depend on your own understanding. Seek His will in all you do, and He will show which path to take. Which a great verse it is. I love it. It's one of my favorite ones. Again, seek His will. Seek His will in all you do, and He will show you which path to take. Don't be impressed with your own wisdom. Instead, fear the Lord and turn away from the evil. I want to ask every one of you, seek His will in all you do. In everything what you do, seek His will. You know, I want to read second from Romans chapter 12, 1-3. And so, dear brothers and sisters, I plead with you to give your bodies to God because of all He has done for you. Let them be living in a holy sacrifice, the kind He will find acceptable. This is truly the way to worship Him. And verse 2, please listen to me. Again, you must understand, I'm reading right now from New Living Translation. I love this translation, I would tell you right now. Listen how it says right here. Don't copy the behavior and custom of this world. Can you hear me right now? Listen again. Don't copy the behavior and customs of this world, but let God transfer you into a new person by changing the way you think. Then you will learn to know God's will for you, which is good and pleasing and perfect. Because of the privilege and authority God has given me, I give each of you this warning. Don't think you are better than you really are. Be honest in your evaluation of yourselves, measuring yourself by the faith God has given us. It's a good verses, right? It's really good verses. I want you to read it very often in your life. And before we will pray, the last what I want to read for you about God's wills, it will be Ephesians chapter 5. I will start from verse 1. Ephesians 5:1. Imitate God, therefore, in everything you do. Imitate God, everything you do, because you are dear children. Live a life filled with love, following the example of Christ. He loved us and offered Himself as a sacrifice for us, a pleasing aroma to God. Let there be no sexual immorality, impurity, and greed amongst us. Such sins have no place. Again, such sins have no place among God's people. Obscene stories, foolish talk, and coarse jokes are not for you. Did you hear that even sometimes? Just listen to it. I want to, again, obscene stories, foolish talks, and coarse jokes. These are not for you. Instead, let there be thankfulness to God. You can be sure that no immoral, impure, and greedy person will inherit the kingdom of Christ and God. For a greedy person is an idolater, worshiping the thing in this world. Don't be fooled by these who try to excuse these sins, for anger of God will fall on those who disobey Him. Don't participate in this thing these people do. For once you were full of darkness, but now you have light from the Lord. So live as people of light. Right here it says, walk as children of light. My dear brothers and sisters, we were in the darkness. Now we are in the light of Lord. Let us walk and live like children of life. Let's pray about that.